Now, on that kind of same topic, what can we learn? What can we know? So what we are hearing, and again, the details as I record this are not made known to us. I'm recording this before the actual study. This will go up next Monday, but I'm recording this on the Tuesday before the Friday when this is supposed to be signed, this agreement between Iran and the United States. So ideologically, this is something that's important that we need to remember. And let me just say this right up front. This is something that's very important for us to understand. When we think of the world religions, of course, we think of Judaism, we think of Christianity, and some would say Hinduism, Buddhism, some of the major beliefs that man has, and among them is Islam. So Islam is a bit different than the others because others, and I would say absolutely, Christianity and the God of the Bible is ideologically understood as well. So there is a belief behind the religious understandings that there's a way that God engages in things, and we have faith and we have trust in Him, but He does things in the world and He has things that He is going to do. There's an ideological point to this. We believe that God created all things. We believe that He will come back as the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. He'll establish a different world than this one that we are currently in. There are a lot of things that are involved in that. But we look at Him and say, but He's the one who will do those things. Ideologically, we say, since He is who He is and He wants all men to come to Him, we are the ones who go out and say, God offers you an olive branch, if you will. He offers to you peace on His terms in a spiritual sense, and you can spend eternity with Him. You can be saved. Now, the ideology behind Islam is much different than that. They still believe that there is a God very different from the one of the Bible, regardless of what people want to say. And the ideology behind that is that God calls His people, their God calls His people to conquest. And so conquest is that they are to subdue the entire earth for the sake of Allah. And so the things that they do and everything that they're involved with is with that in mind. That's what's supposed to happen. That's their directives. That's what they've been told that they're supposed to do. So the ideology is we are to conquer and subdue the earth for the case of the kingdom, right? Their kingdom as they see it for their God Allah. That's what they believe. Now, along the road, they are not supposed to be peaceful necessarily, and they are able to lie with impunity if it furthers the cause. It's what's known as taqiyya. So in taqiyya, you can go ahead and say, we agree, we'll be fine, we'll get along with you, everything is wonderful, we have every intention of being good and following our word, we want to do what we need to do, and so, whatever agreement we need to reach, yeah, we've been obstinate to this point, but we can admit defeat and we'll agree to what you want us to do. So taqiyya would let them say that, and behind their words is like, we have no intention of doing anything of what you said, and at the first opportunity that we have, we'll go back right to where we were before. So that would be the ideology. If the thing that drives you is that you're bent on conquest because you believe that that's what God's mandated you to do, you'll do whatever you have to do in order to survive, to fight another day. Even if you lie through your teeth, it's encouraged. It's given, it's writ. It's something that is given to them as direction. And it's not writ as wrote. It is written down. It's writ. It's put in place. And so it is their belief that that's what they're supposed to do. Now, here's the important part. There was another such case in our not too distant past where you had another ideology in the world, and that was the one that we saw with Germany, and it was that they were the superior race. And so all the inferior races were supposed to be eradicated, and the ones that were close enough could be assimilated, but still there was one master race. That was the ideology. So therefore, they were going to take their ideology and they were going to rule the world and set up a Reich that would last for 1,000 years. So interestingly enough, when you read all those kind of things historically, they actually believed all of this nonsense. They really believed it. It wasn't just, stuff that was said. They genuinely bought into this. This is what they believed. But their ideology was that they were sent here, they were developed, they were superior, and they were going to subdue the earth. So the thing with the Axis power and the Nazis of the 30s and into the 40s, their ideology was what drove them. So you weren't able to make peace with them because you got them to change their ideology. You just pummeled them to the point where they were incapable of making war. But we still see, here it is, coming up on 80 years since that whole thing, since the fall of at the end of World War II. It is 80 years when you think about it. It's 80 years since all of that stuff ended, and yet the ideology of Nazism is still alive and well. They just don't have the ability to make war. So that's the difference. You can't defeat an ideology. What it takes are people that are willing to say, we understand ideologically what these people believe. We have to make sure that they don't have the ability to further or to complete what their ideology is under our watch. And we have the great example of that in Winston Churchill as opposed to Neville Chamberlain. If you're not really familiar with them, go back and look, and I'll just give you a real quick synopsis of the whole thing. Neville Chamberlain followed Churchill initially, and he made peace with Hitler. And if you look, you'll see a picture of him holding up a piece of paper in his hand, and he said, "We will have peace in our time," because Hitler agreed to it and signed it, but he had no intention of doing it. His ideology was, we're the superior race. We just see Chamberlain as the idiot enough to think that somehow he can make peace with us, and it buys us time. Churchill looked at him and said, hey, when they say they're going to do something, take them at their word. I trust that they really believe all this nonsense, and they are going to come after us. So Chamberlain was the idiot, and Churchill was the guy who said, whether you like me or not, truth is truth. So I fear that as far as our country and our administration, we are looking much more like Chamberlain than we are currently Churchill. Now, what ends up happening through this and all the rest of it, I don't know. Does our president really understand the nature of this whole thing, but thinks if he's beaten them down enough, he's done what was done to the Nazis, and that somehow you can make some kind of a peace thing with them or not? All of that remains to be seen. We'll see what the details are in this whole thing, but ultimately, if you don't understand the ideology behind it, you'll get another Obama or Biden type of person who will back away from whatever limitations may have been put on this, if there are any that are there, and if this thing even sees the light of day. But here's the bottom line to this. I'll just end with this. Ideologies are not defeated. Ideologies can only be so incapacitated that they don't have the capacity to do what they say they want to do. So again, do we still have Nazis with us today? Absolutely. Are they a fringe group with no real power to affect any kind of change on a national state? Yeah, absolutely, that's the case. You have crackpots all over the place. They're just as racist and horrible as they were 80 years ago, but they don't have an entire machine behind them to do the things that they want to do. Unlike what we have in the Islamic world of the people who are the absolute fundamentalists who buy in completely to the ideology, they have the capacity for these things, yet they cannot stand against the West in a fair fight. They don't play fair. They're not going to. They believe that they are to subdue the earth, and they have all the time in the world to do it because they're not on a timetable. So the ideology will be able to continue, and it will continue no matter what is signed here. The problem is how much the West is going to be involved in this, and how long will it take until everything reverts back to the way that it was? Because it's going to get there. I know it might sound pessimistic, but whatever comes of this, as long as the people that are in power, that were in power months ago, this is just a different iteration of it, but they're going to be the same thing. They're going to be the same people because they have the same underlying ideology, and that's what our president doesn't seem to understand. Or if he does, he's got something else going on entirely different behind the scenes that we have not yet seen. And so there is some speculation that this is all being done, but there's plans behind the scenes to go in and just pummel them and all the rest of it and get regime change and put it back to the Iran of the 70s before the takeover of the crazy people. Again, we're going to know all this stuff in soon enough. We're going to know about all this stuff. So it'll be interesting when I go back and look at this a week from now, what happened with all of the negotiations and what happens this coming Friday. All this is going to be something that we'll end up seeing and we'll know. But I just want to make sure that we do genuinely understand that what we are looking at in Islam is no different than what we saw with the Nazis 80 years ago. The ideology was subjugation of the nations, because they are superior, and they felt that it is their God-given. And now with the Nazis, it wasn't that they believed in a God. They were pretty weird about all that stuff. They were occultists, they were humanists, they were, basically they were their own gods because they were the superior race. But the ideology was, again, it was subjugation. It was the defeat of your enemy, and it was putting them under your heel. It was to subdue the earth. That's the same ideology. And people need to understand that. They hide behind the religion, but the ideology is what drives them. And so whatever we might be able to put on, on paper, they are not like other nations. They are not like us. They are not like other people. They believe that they have a God-given right to overcome and subdue the earth. You can't negotiate with that. You can only hope to make it incapable of waging war, which is what we started when we first went in there. It was taking away their capacity. But trust me when I say, because it is what is in the tenets of their ideology. They are not honest. They have no intention of following through on all these things. And as soon as they can break and breach it, as they've always done, they will. It's just what they're meant to do. It's what they are by nature. So I don't hate them or anything else. I'm just telling you, this is what they believe. And if we don't understand that, if we're unwilling to admit it, we'll never be able to get anywhere with this. We will always fail. So hang on to your hats. It's going to be a really interesting next week, next couple of months as we go through this. So any questions on any of those things? We should be praying for our country, for Israel for sure, and for the people of Iran who have had to live under this horrible nightmare that we call the Islamic Republic. It's a nasty, ugly, horrible place to live, and it consumes its people, and they hate it, but they're powerless to do anything about it. I want to pray for all of those things, that they may come to a saving knowledge of Jesus, whether it's in Iran, which has a vibrant Christian population, by the way, kind of underground more than anything else. But we want to be praying for them. We want to be praying that Israel looks to their Messiah, the one who came to them, that they can know today. And we want to be praying for our nation, that we make the right decisions in this and put off the facade. If he really does believe everything that he is saying completely, he's mistaken. Our president is making a grave mistake here that will not resolve well going forward. So interesting times. If you have questions on any of those things, once again, please contact me through the ministry's website, and I look forward to hearing from you.